Hello and welcome back to Local Nerd News. I'm NerdDude.
And I'm Cyberguy, and in this episode, you are in for a treat.
Yum.
Not that type of treat. Alright, so in this episode, we shall be talking about a variety of topics, and you will get to hear the full interview with Mr. Nats the Science Guy. We did a preview in our last episode.
He'll love that. And now for the yummy treat already. Are you surprised?
Yeah, well, we might as well talk about the treat now, because we have quite a lot to cover in a very short amount of time.
Alright. As most of you would have known, this week was the anniversary of Back to the Future. Which was on October 21st of this year. Interestingly, I was kind of hoping that it would be real, like Marty and Doc Brown will actually come here in their DeLorean time machine.
Yes, there's only a few flaws with that. One, it's a movie. Two, to everyone's knowledge, time machines don't exist yet. Yes. And three, we don't have hoverboards. Like, come on.
Actually, there has been studies to make a hoverboard.
Well, there are hoverboards, but they're not available to the public yet.
Yeah.
We want them available to the public
now.
If they actually listen to this and then make it because of this, I'm going to be so happy, but they won't.
Well, anyway, back to the topic at hand. Well, when we saw part 2 of Back to the Future, it showed us the 2015 that we deserve.
And that was, from the day of our recording, 3 days ago.
3 days ago. And now, I've seen a parody video by College Humor that makes them come back into this timeline, and it's completely different and lame.
But as far as we know, the future that they depicted does not exist. But it would be pretty nice if it did.
Thanks a lot.
Now, well, I know because I've only recently saw the trilogy about couple of months ago or half a year ago. I hadn't seen it before then. I was really hoping that 2015, so this year, was going to be the same as in Back to the Future. We'd have better technology. We'd have, well...
wars.
Yeah, no wars. We'd have...
Jaws 19.
Yeah, Jaws 19. Like, that series stopped at, what, 4?
4 because it sucked.
And then they depicted that it would continue until 19. We haven't even got Jaws 5. I mean, we've had countless shark movies, but not a Jaws 5. Yeah. Get to work on that.
Hurry up, dude.
We don't have holograms or anything apart from a possible hoverboard that was depicted in the Back to the Future movies.
Or play 9 channels at once on our TVs.
Well, you can if you have 9 TVs, but that would cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, that's enough for talking about Back to the Future. Why don't we say our topics to the public?
Alright, so the topics that I will be talking about are Arrow Season 4, the new season, The Big Bang Theory Season 9, once again the new season, and in Thor 3 there's going to be a possible cameo of the Hulk.
Yeah, which could lead up to Avengers Infinity War. And
Don't mind that was just something falling from the nerd cave.
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about?
Oh, thanks, Cyberguy. Well, anyway, I will be talking about The Flash Season 2, a tragic accident involving Tom Holland on the Captain America Civil War set, and I will also talk about Doctor Who Season 9.
And this is something new that we're just trialing at the moment. We are going to have a discussion topic which we'll find out later in the episode.
Caitlyn Jenner named Woman of the Year by Glamour? Okay.
I don't know what that was about, but
it's the top topics of the website we are using for some research.
Okay, so to begin, I will be talking about Arrow Season 4.
No, okay.
Yeah, well, I'll probably just have to digitally edit that in if I'm going to put it in. Alright, so in Arrow Season 4, the Arrow has died to the public, and instead, the Green Arrow has taken his place. You don't have to do that every time I say Arrow. Alright, if he does that from now on, just edit it out. Okay, so in the Arrow Season 4... God.
You need to find a way to not say Arrow.
Okay, so in the new season... Leave it as it is so you can't do that. Oliver Queen has returned as I'm worried that you're going to say it, but right. The Green Arrow. Okay, so his sister Thea Queen has become Speedy. I'm not going to say the other name for it because you're going to do that again. So she has been brought back to life in the previous season from the Lazarus Pit from Ra's al Ghul. Now, because of this, I'm not sure if you'd know about it, NerdDude, but the public, if they've seen the episodes, will know what I'm talking about. Thea has a need to kill, and won't stop the urge to kill until she actually kills someone.
That's interesting. And I do know about it.
So, now, because she has killed, I think, 2 people so far, she won't need to kill for weeks, but is that really a price to pay? To come back to life, to kill? I think I'd rather stay dead. From the same Lazarus Pit, Laurel's sister has then is now been brought back to life.
She looked like a corpse right when they opened the coffin.
As she's been dead for a long time.
A few months.
Yeah, a few months, so way longer than it should be able to be brought back to life.
Yeah. Did you like when you saw her dead? What was your first reaction when you opened the coffin? When she opened the coffin?
Well, my first thought was, why are they trying to bring back a corpse?
No,
it's a rotting corpse.
And my first impression was, oh my gosh.
So anyway, she's been brought back to life, but hasn't recovered yet. She's not in control. Now, I'm not concerned, but I'm kind of worried about how this will turn out, because they didn't tell Oliver that they were going to do this. Now, as soon as Oliver finds out, he is going to snap. That's my opinion. I'm not going to say the superhero name, because I was going to do that sound again. So, because of this season has, even though it's only had a few episodes, has become really interesting from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And the most recent villain, who's a metahuman, for those of you that watch Flash, you'll know what I'm talking about, who can pull cards from tattoos from his body and then throw them as deadly weapons.
I think his name is Double Down?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Double Down, I think.
But that power would be pretty cool, just to pull a tattoo off and have the tattoo regrow and then use it however you wanted to. Even though it's just a normal card, but you can use it as a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. Anything else?
Not that I can think of at the moment, so would you like to talk about Flash, NerdDude?
Of course I would. So this new season of The Flash has become so good, with a surprise appearance from Jay Garrick.
For those of you that know who he is, good job.
Good job. Some outcoming villains like Atom Smasher, Sand Demon,
Zoom.
Third episode.
There hasn't been a lot of episodes, but it's been really interesting.
Yeah, who did he? The new episode was about Captain Cold and family. In the new episode of The Flash, Barry and the guys at Star Labs have to help with Golden Glider, who
He's Captain Cold's sister.
Yeah, who's Captain Cold's sister, for those who watched the first season. And need to save Captain Cold from his father, because his father's a really, really bad man. And
like very bad.
Yeah. And there's a shocker, like not the end, because the end is a different story, but during the episode where the guys find out something's wrong with the Golden Glider and need to save her from something that I will never tell until you watch the episode.
But for those of you that have seen the episode, you'll know what he's talking about.
Yeah. They stop the villain, of course, and they go their separate ways. And at the end, that's a very big shocker. I will not spoil it for anyone who has seen it. But a different ending is Martin Stein going a little bit blue.
Quite literally.
Yeah, literally. We don't know the case of this, but it's somehow linked to another character.
And just so whoever hasn't seen this and hasn't seen The Flash, it's basically there's been a wormhole or a breach in between normal Earth and another Earth, and that's causing all this stuff to happen. So, Is that it for the Flash?
Yes, it is. And now for another topic that I will be discussing about is the Spider-Man injury on the set of Civil War. So, a couple days ago, I think it was a couple days ago.
Well, at least from the time we were recording this, it may be different from when we uploaded.
Yeah. So, for a couple days ago, actor Tom Holland was injured during the set before the take. And here's a quote that Thomas said. It was my own mistake. I basically fell over and bashed my head in front of about 200 crew members, so not my most heroic moment. It was luckily just before my last shot. They were like roll cameras. I was getting into position, everything went wrong, and they still did the take anyway. It looks gray, and they'll probably just CGI out all the blood. And yeah, I was very lucky. Wise words for a new coming actor in the role of Spider-Man. And this scene could actually probably show how Spider-Man is learning how to use his abilities and is...
So even though this was a mistake that was recorded, it's a good opportunity to demonstrate, well, Spider-Man's adapting.
Yeah. And this could be a Watch Mojo moment for another top 10 improvised movie moments.
Even though I don't think it was really improvised, he even said it himself. It was my own mistake.
Maybe so, Watch Mojo will make top 10 mistakenly taken scenes.
And if you keep hearing references to other YouTube channels or other channels, just so you know, we are not sponsored by them. So
yeah, we're the loners of YouTube.
Yes. And PodOmatic.
And PodOmatic.com.
Yeah. So because of this injury, even though we will see it on screen, according to Tom Holland, it would be pretty interesting to see how they CGI'd out all of the blood and make the accident look like it was on purpose.
Yeah.
That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. And that does it, Cyberguy.
Alright. So, the next topic is The Big Bang Theory, the most recent season, Season 9. I'll try not to spoil it too much.
Thank you.
But, essentially, in the last episode of Season 8, I'm introducing Season 9, so shaking your head. Amy tells Sheldon that she wants time away from him. So, in the first episode, Sheldon then tries to repair their relationship. I'm not spoiling it.
Thank you. I'm sorry, everyone. I haven't seen Season 8 lately. I've only seen up to episode 4. And any criticism on our YouTube channel will be reported. They will be reported.
Yeah, so throughout Season 9, it shows a lot of, well, I'm going to say funny events, such as, I want to say this, but it's not technically spoiling.
Okay.
Sheldon being kidnapped.
Sheldon got kidnapped?
Well, yes, but not by actual kidnappers. So I'm just going to leave it like that.
Oh, okay.
So, Season 9, you see a completely different side to Sheldon, because in Season 1, when we first saw him, he was paranoid, he didn't want to be near anyone or touch anyone. He could barely tolerate sitting on the couch with his best friend Leonard. And yet now, he's completely different, he's more emotional. He's not becoming like a robot like Penny and everyone, and all of his friends thought.
Like you.
Human beings haven't perfected robots that can be available to the public yet.
And yet you're here.
I'm not a robot. Just so you know, this happens most days.
And occasionally you might hear this throughout our whole episodes, but I don't really mean it. And he has robot characteristics, but he's not a robot, so we just call him Robot.
So that probably wraps it up for The Big Bang Theory, and if you haven't seen it, you probably want to see it, but after you've recapped on any episodes that you've missed.
Now to talk about Doctor Who Season 9. The first few episodes of Doctor Who have been pretty interesting, with the Doctor shaping up his character, like the sonic sunglasses. That's funny.
He went from a screwdriver to sunglasses.
Yeah. It must be a phase for him, being over 2,000 year old.
Yeah. From what I remember from episode 1, doesn't he almost cause a time paradox?
Yes, he does actually.
He devotes his entire life to not cause time paradoxes, and then he tries to make one.
Yeah, he does. Which could
Good
could
job.
possibly end an entire civilization, but I'm not going to say who. And throughout the rest of the episodes, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but he meets up with an old friend. He has a ghostly adventure with something scary, and he meets someone who possibly could not be in the right television show.
Yeah, it's very hard to do reviews when you're trying not to spoil it for people. Alright, so is that it for Doctor Who Season 9, or is there anything else you want to mention?
Well, unless you call Viking snapping technology that could be billions of years ahead of their time is not funny, then I don't know what is.
Well, that there just proves an excellent example about races other than human beings in the universe that are advanced. Now, the last topic before our discussion is Thor 3, but there's a possible cameo of the Hulk.
Nah, it's not a possible cameo. It's right in there.
Yeah, but we don't know for sure yet. And if you hear any clicking or anything, that's just the computer that we're using. Now, although in the first Avengers movie you see Hulk and Thor have a rivalry, and it's kind of funny when Hulk and Thor are standing next to each other after fighting someone, and the Hulk then just punches Thor through a wall.
Yeah.
That demonstrates very strong power of Hulk. Now, even though the Hulk, he's had his own movies and everything, and hasn't really included Thor in anything except for the original live-action television show,
Which was hilarious.
I haven't seen it, but I do know some pretty interesting facts about it.
Yeah.
The Hulk appearing in it may be a link between Thor 3 and the Avengers Infinity War.
Which, if I'm interrupting,
Yeah.
but can I say?
Yeah.
Okay. As Marvel's Kevin Feige has said, this is a very important film for us in Phase 3. We plan on taking Thor to another level. It picks up where we leave Thor in Avengers Age of Ultron and impacts everything that comes after. So maybe that dream he had in the pit would link into Ragnarok. And I've also seen a deleted scene from Avengers Age of Ultron where Thor was possessed, possibly by the villain of Ragnarok of the movie.
I would have liked to see that where he was possessed. That would have been pretty interesting.
Yeah, but maybe they didn't have enough time.
As this is, as NerdDude just said.
Yeah, don't confuse me with your name.
I almost mixed it up.
We do not want anyone to know who we really are.
Yeah. So, just as NerdDude said, this is an important phase, and it may affect the future of Marvel's movies.
Yeah.
So, now that that's all over, time to move on to the discussion topic. Now, this topic is a very disgusting use of science.
But we're calling it the Night of the Living Dog.
Everybody panic!
Yes, now, for those of you that don't get the reference, this is a reference to zombie dogs.
Yeah. Apparently it's real.
Yeah, it has been used many times in science. I'm just going off my knowledge and the knowledge of the computer in front of me. Now, in the 1940s, a Russian experiment was conducted that was able to bring a severed dog's head back to life. That's a sick use of science. If a mammal or an animal in general loses their head, don't bring it back to life.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'd be calling dogs the zombie's best friend.
Yeah. Humorous pun. Now,
it was a joke.
Yeah. So
it's funny.
Now,
it's funny.
most people would think that things like zombie dogs would be something from like the TV show Futurama, and it would be way off in the future. But in actual reality, it occurred in the past.
So we don't know if Russians are raising dogs from the dead.
Yeah, we know
now on, but
No offense to any Russians that are listening to this, but we don't know if Russians are planning an invasion with zombie dogs.
Dude, I don't think that'll work. They'll just go everywhere.
But the process that this works is that any animal, or specifically mammal, that has died and has been dead for less than 24 hours can be brought back to life. Now, this, I'm not sure about you, but I find this kind of creepy.
Yeah, I find it creepy too. I do not want to see a headless
Yeah.
dog run in my living room.
But the way that this essentially works is that, well, just say with the video that's on this website, which we'll try to link, it shows a severed dog's head, and it's a process that uses blood transfusion combined with oxygen to keep the dog's brain alive, which then will allow the dog to have tics or sensations to the 5 senses. So they keep the dog's head alive using blood transfusion, which I'm pretty sure I just said, and it keeps the dog's head alive. Now, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you can hear anything on the background, just ignore it.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about this. It's creepy.
And according to the website, it's 100% real. Now, to my knowledge, there's also been another incident with bringing dogs back to life. A dog, or dogs, because it was an experiment, had died, and after 3 hours of being dead, scientists did blood transfusions and did an electric shock. I don't know if it was with defibrillators or if it was just with like clamps or whatever they use. I don't know what they used, but it managed to bring the dogs back to life, who were almost exactly the same as they were when they were previously alive.
Frankendog.
Yeah, now, I don't know what else to say about this. Zombie dogs.
Oh, now that you mention it, you know Frankenstein. I'm going off topic, but do you know Frankenstein?
Well, that's what a discussion is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
no Frankenstein.
Well, anyway, Frankenstein is referring to the monster, but actually Frankenstein is the inventor. Well, the monster is called Frankenstein's monster. So what do we do?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I've always found that kind of strange. Like, people always refer to Frankenstein and think of the monster, but in actuality, it's the inventor. Now,
I never give the nerds credit.
they never actually give, well, one, the monster credit because they don't call him by his full name, and two, the creator, because they just think that the creator was named something else. Anyway, back to zombie dogs. I always used to think that, and I still do think, that zombies are implausible.
It's true.
Like, once something dies and has been dead for, according to this, longer than 24 hours, they cannot be brought back to life because their brain dies, their nerves and muscles, they all start deteriorating. So they can't actually move. I've always found, like, if something was able to bring not dogs, but zombies back to life, it would be impossible. But the zombie dogs, they're not typical zombies like you would see in movies or video games, but they are living dogs that have just been brought back to life after being dead for a certain amount of time. This is why science is very good, but at the same time horrific.
Yeah, that's why there's horror movies.
I wonder if someone would ever make a movie about this, bringing things, especially mammals, back to life after being dead for a certain amount of time.
Well, there was this one movie I've heard of where there's some sort of infection that infects dogs to make them monsters.
Was that movie Cujo?
I have no idea, but
Because Cujo's about to kill a dog.
yeah, but it's a cult movie.
Yeah. So unless you have anything else to say about this, I think that wraps up the discussion.
I believe you. And now to get possibly to our top 10, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, but before we do our top 10, here is the full interview. If you listen to our last episode, which had a snippet of the interview we conducted, here is the full interview with Mr. Nats, the science guy.
Hello, welcome nerdians to Local Nerd News. I'm NerdDude.
And I'm Cyberguy, and today we are here with Mr. Nats, the resident science guy.
Good evening, or good afternoon, actually. Jeez, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. How's it going, boys?
Yeah, that's alright.
Pretty good. So from what we know, you're a teacher at a college that only teaches up to year 10.
Yes, that is correct. That
Okay.
is absolutely correct.
That's really crazy.
Yeah, you'd rarely get those schools these days, but yeah, look, I like the environment. Being a former student myself, I, used to the surroundings and good people to work with, good students, good teachers. Everyone's good here. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's good.
Yep. And you teach two subjects which are most of the time classified as nerdy subjects, science and maths.
And our weakness, physical education.
Oh, you crack me up. Well, by trade, I am the kryptonite, as you would call it, of PE. But yes, I do dabble in the nerd arts of science and maths. But I don't really consider them to be nerdy type subjects. Like I know, your typical smarter people are good in those domains, but I think, it's readily accessible for everyone. But, if you want to class it as that, I would put myself pigeonholed underneath the nerd banner, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah, definitely.
Right. And since you said that you classify yourself as a nerd, would you classify yourself as one of the nerds that did their homework all the time, or one of the nerds that are mainly focused on video games, movies, etc.?
I'm probably a bit of both, I think. Like, in my early high school days, probably homework wasn't high on the radar. Like, I play a lot of sports, so that was probably my big priority. But, as you get towards your latter years and, real world stuff and a lot of pressures and all that sort of stuff, yeah, schoolwork was a big focus. But I did just as much time playing consoles, computer games, and watching movies as much as the next person. So there's a bit of a balance between the two, definitely.
No. So I think to begin, we'll just start off with some basic nerdy questions, like what is your favourite superpower and why?
Favourite superpower. You actually asked me this the other day, and I said my favourite superpower was to have all superpowers, but obviously that can't happen. So probably big fan of Superman. So probably the biggest one would probably be flying. Would probably be the awesome one. I reckon it'd be really cool to fly.
Yeah.
Most people would say fly.
Yeah, definitely. What's your favourite? Probably mentioned this before.
Yeah, fly.
Yes.
Fly?
Yeah,
And?
fly.
My one would be matter manipulation.
Oh, yes, you did mention that. Yeah, altering matter, states of matter. I like it. From a science perspective, that's a pretty good superpower to have.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Except for the fact that you completely break the law of matter cannot be created or destroyed. But
Well, when you are a superhero, you're kind of already breaking that law anyway,
Yeah.
so...
Okay, next question.
Having a think.
Yes.
Well, you were talking before about consoles. We were having a bit of a chat
consoles.
before about consoles, so...
You've had nearly all of the old consoles from what we talked about earlier before we started recording, so don't get that the wrong way. Yes, I did just talk to an iPad. What was your favourite old console? And on that console, what was your favourite video game?
Look, you can't... If I had to pick at the old consoles, probably that had the most entertainment on was probably the Nintendo 64. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Super Nintendo, I love the original Nintendo, the SNES and all that. But there was nothing better than an N64. It was just the games that brought, basically revolutionised, I think, the console culture that we have today. You had Mario Kart, which was absolutely awesome. You had Super Smash Brothers, all these great games on that console. And, especially because it was more my teenage years when I was playing that, especially my early teenage years. It was probably something I could appreciate a little bit more than probably the Super Nintendo.
Are you a big fan of movies?
Love my movies. Look, I'm going to be honest, like probably of late, I've probably declined a little bit on the more cinema experience, but growing up, that was the go-to place. My friends and I would always go to the movies. That was our thing. You were too young to go clubbing at the time, and then, when you couldn't be bothered going out, that sort of thing, probably the biggest thing was going to the movies and watching as many movies as you could.
What's your favorite?
That's a tough one. I don't think I could say, really. I don't really pinpoint one. I'm just a fan of particular genres. So I love a good action flick. I love a good comedy. Obviously now with all the superhero movies coming out, they've obviously taken my fancy a little bit more so. There'll probably be ones that I would actively go out to the cinema and watch rather than wait for it to come out on DVD. But I'll probably steer clear of more the horror movies and stuff as well. So, yeah, definitely.
What's your least favorite?
My least favourite? Oh,
Very quick questions, by the way.
Very quick questions.
Thank you, Cyberguy.
Least favourite would probably be... Oh, look, anything from the horror genre. It's just not me. Like, I just... not that I say I'm afraid per se, but it just has no entertainment value. I watch movies to be entertained. I watch movies to be switched off. But actually, a genre that I'd probably lean towards, I don't know about you guys, is probably more the thriller genre. Like, I've never been the biggest fan about it, but a lot of movies that do make you think, like, an example would be Shutter Island or, these sort of movies that kind of make you think. Inception, these sort of things that kind of a little bit more topical and you could probably have a bit more of a conversation with people about is probably the sort of movies I actually enjoy these day and age as well. So, yeah. How about yourselves? What sort of genres do you lean towards predominantly when you go to the movies?
Action, sci-fi, comedy.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with sci-fi, want to go with comedy, but mainly superheroes.
Yeah.
I go and see every superhero movie that comes out at the cinemas.
And they're obviously hit and miss as well, wouldn't you agree? Like, there's some great ones, but there's just some stinkers out there. We all talked about Green Lantern before. I don't think we should give it the pleasure of having it on this podcast, but, probably one of the poorer ones in the genre. But, there's been some good ones. Are you looking forward to any ones that are coming up on the Marvel scene?
Well, on Marvel, I'm looking forward to Black Panther. But that's mainly just because, in my opinion, he's like the Batman of the Marvel Universe. Except that he's like a king or something. Well, from just my knowledge.
Yeah, he's the king of Wakanda in Africa.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here we go again. Alright. But that's probably the movie I'm looking forward to the most in recent times, apart from Avengers Trinity War, which will be split into two parts.
Yeah, that's
Infinity. You said Trinity.
Damn it.
Infinity, it's okay.
Infinity War, which will be split into two parts.
Don't worry. He stumbles all the time.
Yes. Unfortunately, that is true. You?
Oh, okay. Hard to say. I was really looking forward to seeing Fantastic Four this weekend, but then I heard it was a blow. So.
Yeah, I heard that as well. Like, I think a family friend of mine said they saw it the other day and they said it was pretty poor. Like, I don't listen to a lot of opinion though. Like, I like to take my own opinions into movies because I find that, people say that it's bad and you keep hearing that it's bad. Then you won't go watch it, or two, when you watch it, you already have that opinion that it's a poor movie rather than actually taking it as an objective observer.
Like Green Lantern.
Well, exactly right. But I've seen Green Lantern. It sucked.
Well, surprisingly, when I first saw the Green Lantern movie, I actually liked it the first time I saw it. And then the second time I saw it, I was just like, wait a minute. Wait, no, this ain't right, no. So,
I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange?
Yes.
See, you guys will probably be more knowledgeable in those things. See, I'm more the mainstream comic book person. I know probably a lot of these are probably mainstream to you, but for me, just the Superman, the Batmans, the Spider-Mans and all those sort of ones. I know they're more common and mainstream, but those are ones that I've kind of fallen in. I was never really much of a comic book reader per se, but obviously I think these movies have really benefited the genre. Do you feel that it's helped the genre, especially the comic book genre?
Well, the movies leave parts out in the comic books, like with the final one in the Dark Knight trilogy. Bane didn't actually have any venom, which is what makes him so strong.
Yeah.
There was no Robin, even though there was a little bit of Robin. Police officer that was birth named Robin, but I'm pretty sure he's not Robin, even though his name is Robin.
That's not a Robin.
Pisses me off.
Alright.
A bit frustrating, most definitely. But look, don't get me wrong, I love the comic book genre, but like I'll watch anything. I think anything that comes out, like we were talking the other day, tonight I'm actually going to watch the new Dragon Ball Z movie. No spoilers, don't give me any spoilers, but I'm looking forward to watching that tonight. But that's what I've grown up. But you haven't seen much of Dragon Ball Z at all, have you?
I want to, but I haven't had the chance.
Yeah, like I would recommend. What would you recommend? You have Dragon Ball, you have Dragon Ball Z and GT. Which one would you recommend?
Z.
Yeah, Z is probably the most common one.
Yeah.
And it was made in the 90s. You know that show was made in the 90s.
Yeah.
That blew my mind thinking about, like, I actually was made in the 90s. So I grew up watching it. Like that was my show. And I never watched Dragon Ball. Like I tried to, but I just couldn't get into it. It just wasn't for me. But I watched a bit of GT. That was pretty cool. And actually, I'm not going to even ask the question because I don't want any spoilers. So I'll probably have a conversation about it tomorrow with you. But I think, these sort of things, growing up, bit of nostalgia. Especially bringing a lot of these movies back. what is your opinion on the new Spider-Man reboot for the third time?
Well,
Another reboot for one. Stop rebooting the series.
again,
Well, you know the reasons why they rebooted the first one.
because they suck.
No, with Tobey Maguire, you know why they rebooted it?
Because it sucked.
Well, that, and, do you know why?
Because no one liked the third one.
No, there was actually a contractual thing. It was a contract. So Sony has the rights to Spider-Man. So what had happened was when they made the third one, you hold it on for a certain period of time afterwards. If you don't make another movie within that given time frame, they lose the rights to the character. So what had happened was it was getting to the expiration date, and they said, well, we're going to make a new reboot. So that's why they rebooted it with Andrew Garfield, because they would have lost the rights, and then obviously another company would have taken it. But I think the new reboot's going to be much better, because now that the Marvel Universe is kind of interlinked, they're going to involve Spider-Man in the Avengers, which I think is probably a really good thing for future.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
And if that cut out, that's just a recording problem. Nothing to worry about.
Ignore him.
Ignore him. Jeez, too nerdy. You're too technical. You got to just let it flow, man. Let it flow, dude. Be a little bit more relaxed. So I'm actually honoured and privileged to be your first official guest speaker on this program. What are we looking for? How many viewers do you think you'll get after my appearance on this program?
Not entirely sure. At the moment, we only really had 3 views in one day, which I'm guessing that's pretty good because we went up 20,000 places in our category.
And lost 10,000 of them.
Yeah, we went up by 20,000 and then lost 10,000 and then went up again. So once again with the movies, Batman v Superman's supposed to be coming out next year.
And good.
They've been advertising it since I Am Legend, from what I remember, because they had a banner, but it was out of date.
Yeah.
But if that was actually a situation with Batman versus Superman, because they're going to team up in the movie probably, who do you reckon would win?
Good question. First of all, I think...
But before you answer, any Batman or Superman fans who
do not take
do
offense
this,
to this.
be prepared to be made angry, depending on who he picks. And continue.
Look, if I had to pick between the two, I'd pick Superman. And purely based off the fact that when you define a superhero, you're defining a human or someone of human ability that is possessing superhuman powers. From my perspective, it has to be Superman. You're talking about an alien. Like, out of all the superheroes, he's actually an alien. Like, he's someone from a foreign planet. He's not just Thor, but he's actually from a foreign planet. I know it's probably going to upset a few of you, but from my perspective, that's where I believe Superman will win hands down.
Shocking.
Yeah. Alright. Well then, this is the second who would win, but this one apparently has stunned the internet. But who would win, the Hulk or Superman? Because the Hulk can't really be defeated, because every time he gets hit, he just gets angrier, which makes him stronger. But Superman can only really be defeated by magic and kryptonite.
Yeah, but Hulk is neither.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I would probably still back Superman over a longer period of time. Now, in a one-on-one fight, there and then, equal. But eventually, the Hulk's going to go back to Bruce Banner.
Only if he gets calm.
Yeah, but I just don't think he can sustain. Well, have we ever seen him sustain that much anger for a prolonged period of time? I don't think we've ever seen him in any connotation of being a Hulk the entire comic book or the entire movie.
Well, I have read from an encyclopedia that I have. The Hulk was the only living thing on the planet because of a nuclear war. It was only him and cockroaches, which apparently cockroaches can escape everything.
Definitely.
And he turned into the Hulk because he was angry that he was the last person alive. And he never turned back to Bruce Banner because Bruce Banner died during the transformation.
Okay.
But Bruce Banner was like over 200 years old. So
Wait, wasn't that Next Avengers?
Well, I read it in an encyclopedia, so if I find it, I'll update in the second part of this episode. But if not, just leave it blank. All right. I keep making hand gestures, even though no one apart from you two can see me.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the extra effort. It goes a long way.
Edit out the awkward silence.
We're gonna try something new.
Okay.
We are going to put 2 classic movies together, and you have to pick which one is better.
Okay. I like it.
All right. So we're going 60s. So which one would you pick? Planet of the Apes or 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I would probably go Planet of the Apes. Reasoning is because I think for the time, its production value was quite high at the time. I think 2001: Space Odyssey comparatively to the 1960s version of Planet of the Apes is just phenomenal work done by a lot of those actors, and obviously the people behind the scenes as well put a lot of effort into that movie. It wasn't shabby production; it was pretty high end stuff. So no, I'll definitely go Planet of the Apes.
Right. Now, two awful movies.
Okay.
Ghost Rider or Green Lantern?
Oh.
This one actually requires some thought.
You should have chosen Catwoman.
Oh. So which one would I choose to watch?
Yeah, if you had to watch one of them, which one?
Okay. I would watch Ghost Rider, and you know why? Because I love watching Nicolas Cage in sucky movies because it's actually quite funny. So no, I would pick Ghost Rider in that respect. Because for every one movie he makes good, he makes 10 poor ones after that.
All right, Nick Cage, if you ever listen to this is intended as humour.
Sorry. All right.
Very unlikely, but still.
You never know.
Would you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark or The Empire Strikes Back?
Classics. Oh. I would probably watch Raiders, I reckon.
Indiana Jones. All right.
Hold on. He has to explain.
Okay.
I know what you think.
Look, I've seen both, but I just think Indiana Jones is probably the big one for me. It was just, for me, the whip, the archaeologist, just so far perplexing, that scenario. But it was actually made a really good movie series. But I was a bit disappointed that they had to come out and make an extended version of that series. It just really sucked. Sucked.
Before we continue on with the movie classics comparison, I have a question that will piss off nearly every single nerd.
Yeah.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Oh, well, for me, Star Wars. I've never really seen much of Star Trek. I'm not going to lie. Sorry to the guys out there who enjoy it. But for me personally, more a Star Wars person myself. Not that I say I'm a fanboy by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying that I would dress up as an R2-D2. Not that I have a costume. That silences me rolling my eyes. No, but I wouldn't probably go near that sort of argument. I probably wouldn't be the person breaking up that fight, I don't think.
Thank you, Cyberguy. You just started World War Nerd.
No.
Oh, here's a question I have for you. Have you been to Comic-Con?
Well, I've been to Oz Comic-Con.
Oz Comic-Con, the one in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same. I've been to Oz Comic Con, but
Thoughts?
that was the first time I've ever been to a Comic Con, and I thought it was really, really good. But we can't go every year, otherwise, well, this is just advice in my opinion. But if you go every year, you're going to experience the same things. But if you go every second or third year, you'll always experience a different thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, like getting a chance to meet Stan Lee and
if Stan Lee's there and I went the last year, I'm going that year. I'm not waiting.
I remember I think the first time I went to Oz Comic Con was because of Stan Lee. I really wanted to meet him, so I drew a picture of the cover of Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and I really wanted him to sign it. And then as I get there, I'm so hyped. I'm so excited to meet him. And then as I'm walking to his booth, I see him next to in the booth signing, and I'm so happy. I have this big smile on my face.
Yeah.
And then as we line up, my parents found out that it was supposed to be mint condition comic books that were supposed to be signed.
Oh no.
Yeah, and that really tore me up.
Couldn't you buy a mint condition comic at Comic Con?
Nah, I was too destroyed to think about that.
Oh, that sucks. So when I went once, and that was because a friend had a ticket. But they didn't have that form of royalty at the event. I got a signature from the guy from Scrubs. Do you remember the TV show Scrubs?
A little bit.
Nope. I don't. I'm just being honest.
Oh, they had this guy from there. He was probably people might know him out in the cyber world. The Todd. He was a very how would you say, eclectic type individual. He was a very funny individual. But yeah, that was my starstruck moment. Not really, but I've seen him on TV. It's just that sort of thing. When you see someone on TV and you see them in real life, like you feel like they're not human almost when you see them in that realm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, should we go back to the classic movies or just continue as we're going?
Sure, we'll go back to classic movies.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, don't think of some classic movies.
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, or Batman and Robin?
Oh.
And another Batman v Superman.
Yeah, but I would probably pick Batman in that regard because I remember watching that when I was younger. I do remember watching that. Yeah, I'd probably pick Batman and Robin. That if I had to compare between the two, doesn't mean that I don't like Superman, but I just think if you had to pick between those two, I'd pick Batman and Robin definitely.
I'm not sure if this is just me thinking of awful movies all of a sudden, but Catwoman or Daredevil?
To be honest, I didn't even see any of them. I didn't see them at all, so I wouldn't even bother. I wouldn't even bother trying to.
Pick option C. No.
Okay, option C, none of the above.
All right. I think we'll do one more.
One more, and then we'll probably have to wrap this up.
Would you rather watch The Dark Knight or The Avengers?
Which one, Age of Ultron or the
first one?
Oh, okay. The first one or... Ooh, that's a toughie. The Dark Knight. I probably would pick The Dark Knight. I know it seems a bit weird that I'm picking a lot of Batman stuff there, even though I picked Superman over Batman, but that trilogy was just phenomenal, and okay, probably the first one probably didn't get me as much as probably The Dark Knight Rises, but great trilogy, great work, great. Even Christian Bale, he would have thought he'd be a good Batman. I'm very interested to see though how Ben Affleck does as a Batman. That's probably the big thing. I think a lot of people were a bit shocked about that he got the role in this upcoming Batman.
Especially because he played Daredevil in the Daredevil movie.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Because I remember when Ben Affleck was on this talk show, he went...
Organize your thoughts.
Yeah,
He's getting too excited. He really enjoyed it. Yeah.
He said that when he posted the news where he would be Batman and Batman v Superman, the first tweet that he saw was no.
But you know what? I think I don't mind that though. I don't mind people giving the thing because you know what? Low expectations. He has an opportunity, I think, in this movie to really put a lot of people straight. And I think, you know what? For much as people probably dislike him after the Daredevil one.
Even though that wasn't his fault, because he didn't write the story.
No, of course. But I think he has an opportunity to redeem himself. And a lot of people were bad-mouthing even the Superman, the new reboot, the Man of Steel one. And I actually enjoyed that movie, funnily enough, too. But, it'd be good to see those two guys coming together. And, you want that competition, I think, between DC and Marvel. Like, I know Marvel's taking the forefront in a lot of this activity.
One final question before we wrap this up. Which is literally what you just said. Which do you think is better, Marvel or DC?
From what perspective? From a written literature point of view, a comic book side of things, or from a movie standpoint?
All of them.
All of them, okay.
Just Marvel and DC, which is better in general?
I would probably go towards DC. I would probably say DC. I know a lot more about the DC universe. I think it's a little bit more darker, has more of the darker themes and stuff.
Sorry, Marvel fans.
Sorry, Marvel fans. Don't get me wrong, I love Marvel just as much as the next person, but I think DC has those really dark themes that, I don't think Marvel kind of leans towards, if that makes sense. I think, especially the way that trilogy of The Dark Knight was portrayed as that really, dark sort of time. I'm using the dark a lot of the time. I just think, it's just the sort of thing I would most definitely lean towards if I had to pick between the two. But I just think, I would love to see a Justice League versus Avengers. That would be... That would blow my mind.
The only downside to that was Marvel would never let Avengers lose to the Justice League, and DC would never let the Justice League lose to the Avengers.
That's exactly right. But how awesome would that be? We should make it a draw.
Yeah. Seriously, Marvel and DC, compromise, make the movie.
That's it. We'll make billions.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for spending your time for interviewing.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. We're shaking hands, just so you know. Thank you very much for your time. And look, I'd love to make an appearance later on in these series. But yeah, you guys doing really good work. I'm glad to be your first guest on this show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, guys.